Hey everybody, how are you? Dan Wasilewski here. I just wanted to share some of my findings from this past semester on Universal Design for Learning, UDL. We've talked about it extensively in class and in other facets of education, but I think this would be a great opportunity to kind of summarize at least my understanding for it. Perhaps you have something slightly different or along these same lines, but I think it's the idea we're all trying to get at is that having discussion is part of the solution to really helping out the current education system. I wanted to start off with what you see here on the screen, which is pulled out of the Educator's Handbook textbook we have. To me, I think this perfectly summarizes exactly what we're trying to get at. So as you see, there's the child in the bottom left-hand corner who says, "Could you please shovel the ramp?" The custodial worker says, "All these other kids are waiting to use the stairs. When I get through shoveling them off, I'll clear the ramp for you." To which the kid wittingly replies, "But if you shovel the ramp, we can all get in." And that's kind of what we're getting at here is that it's not about the accommodation so much. It's not about having the ramp there. It's the fact that having the ramp means that everybody has access to get to the final goal, which, in the sake of this cartoon, is in fact the school. But in terms of our own classrooms, we can see the ramp metaphorically as being the lessons we create or our learning targets or what have you. It shouldn't so much be a side thing that you do, but it should be an avenue for all students to arrive at the same goals. And that's kind of the core philosophy of UDL. They break it into three real pillars as far as how it works. So we have here multiple means of engagement, which really talks about how are students engaged or how are students motivated by the material or the lesson or the learning target. It can happen one of several ways. Some ideas that I find interesting. I'm real big on these choice boards here. I'll bring one up for you real quick. This is a sample one, but it gives students the option to choose the way they approach new material or a learning target. And it gives them a sense of that ownership and a sense of, I'm not telling you what you have to learn. It's I'm giving you all these options. Whatever seems best for you might be most fitting to help you arrive at that learning goal. And I think that's one of the good ones for it. Under that engagement category, they talked about having students create a sustained effort and a willingness to see it through the end learning target. One of the ones that I've built into my classroom in 10th grade history is project-based learning, which really kind of encompasses this ownership of fully immersing a student in a situation, whether it be a scenario, a game, something relevant to their future passions of their careers, and it gives them a bit of ownership and that see it through that we're trying to get with UDL. I think project-based learning is a great way to make students, it's not just one day show up and do it, but over the course of several days or several weeks, can you see through to an endpoint? And in doing so, can you make it relevant to yourself as a learner? The last real section or pillar underneath engagement is in fact the self-regulation, and there's various ways for really reaching that. To me, the one I find interesting is just really a self-reflection. How did you do? What things do you think stand in your way or might stand in your way down the road, and what can you do to either take care of that or to plan for it? And under the engagement pillar, if we do all of these things, we'll see that we can have students identifying things that they wish to learn about in the way that's best for them, and then also, being the pilot of their own plane, if you will. They see themselves through it, they encourage themselves, they self-monitor, and they can help themselves reach the end goal. The second pillar here, the multiple means of representation, this is, if anything, closest to what we would call like that differentiated instruction. However, it's not, but it's just the way that we present the material or present the learning to the students, and that can come in any of various ways. I think of myself, teaching history in high school students, and I know that direct instruction is a big part of especially teaching history, but that doesn't mean you have to be talking at students the entire class period. It's the incorporation of videos, of pictures, of cartoons, of graphic organizers, speeches, primary source documents. It's the way that you really approach students with things. Now, beyond that, and what makes it different, it's the other things you manage to incorporate in. So in your instruction, are you giving students synonyms for challenging words, or are you helping them to understand, maybe the mathematics behind a certain change for me in history could be, in terms of what was the economy doing, or what was money like in that time frame, and can you find multiple ways to really show what was going on in that event, and represent it other than just, here's A and it led us to B and that's the end, but how many things happen in between that we can expose our students to help multiple means of learning take place underneath the same lesson topic. Um, and then the last one is multiple means of action and expression. And to me, this is kind of the big one. This is not just here's, a Scantron and a pencil and show me what you learned, because that's what we're trying to get away from, obviously. This is how students can engage to show you learning, whether it be summative or formative. A few good ideas we have in here, like games like Four Corners, where you'll have, if you believe that the answer is this, go to corner 1 and 2 and 3 and 4. You could do A, B, C, D. Students are up, they're physically active, they're moving around. It's a means of engagement other than the pen and paper assessment. Beyond that, I mean, we have so many with technology options. I mean, this is a Prezi presentation taking place here. It's a way for students to creatively demonstrate learning that's not, just writing on a pencil, but in fact it is visual and it's engaging. It allows for the artistic side of things. Um, I think another one I have here, and this one specifically stands out to me as a history teacher, but the use of cartoons. So, can you visually represent what's going on? I love Thomas Nast. He was influential around the Gilded Age, and I love his cartoons in general. But to have students create this and say, hey, can you visually tell me what's going on or what you understand about this? That's not pen and paper in a sense of filling in bubbles or circling the correct answer, but more so, can you paint a picture for me of what you see or what you think is going on here? So this is, that was my rudimentary breakdown of this UDL platform, but I really think in a wholesome approach, it can fundamentally change the structure and the outlook of modern education in America. And I think it's definitely something worth diving into. Um, from a demographic standpoint, it seems like a big change to take place. But to be honest with you, the proper implementation from one teacher to another can really cause waves in this and make this a new norm. And I think the evidence speaks for itself in terms of having choice, taking ownership of learning, expressing it the way that best suits for the learner themselves is what we want. We want a more dynamic relationship between our students and our education system that doesn't quite exist right now. And I do believe this is part of where we're going. I hope you enjoyed watching through. Thank you. And we'll check back in soon.